So let's get this started. Why is it important to dream?
There are so many reasons as to why it's important to dream. First of all, it opens up possibilities, right? You start living your life to the fullest. People who don't dream and who don't think about all the possibilities that there are in life, they end up living a life that is very limited, right? And that's not necessarily the life that we want to live for ourselves. Some of us want to become professional athletes. Others might want to become artists. Others might want to become entrepreneurs. Others might want to become doctors, teachers, you name it. And having that in mind, having that clear idea of what we want for ourselves is super important. And that is truly who we are. That is what we call authenticity, right? That is us living the life that we want for ourselves. And I think that's why dreaming is so important.
And sometimes we don't know exactly what that dream is. We need to look at what the passions are that we have, right?
Yeah.
The passions that we've had in the past, the passions that we have now, the passions, the things we really want to do. Start there, right?
Yeah. And that's step one. That's step one of this process of how do you achieve your dreams, right? You have to know exactly what it is. You have to identify it first. So what is one thing, Susan, that the teenagers who are watching right now, what is the one thing that they can do to identify what their dream possibly is, for those who don't have it in their mind yet?
Oftentimes, especially when you're young like you guys are, you don't really know yet. I mean, my kids are out of college, they're still trying to figure it out. But so you just need to start going, what is it that lights me up? What is it that I've done in the past, or I'm doing now, or I really want to do in the future that I think is going to light me up, right? It doesn't mean mom says I need to be a doctor or dad says I need to be a lawyer or anything like that. It's what lights you up. What are those things that you think would make your life amazing?
Yeah. And it could be anything, right? It could be music, It could be sports. I mean, for me, I remember at a very young age, I fell in love with soccer, and that was my passion. That is what I started to pursue, and that's what became my dream, right? My dream became to become a professional soccer player. So find out those little things that you love, that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. And it could be anything. It could even be sleeping. Just write it down, like whatever those things are, right?
I like sleeping.
I love sleeping. Oh my God. But just get a clear idea on what are the things that you love, right? And then you'll start to get an idea of what your dream can be, what type of life you want to live later on.
I'd highly recommend brainstorming. Just take out a piece of paper and just start writing. Just start writing everything you can think of. And that'll help you to start to pinpoint. You might see some repetition come up, things are related, or, it's just going to be able to, you'll go, I forgot about that, or whatever. Just brainstorming, get it all out of you.
Yeah, because I mean, you get to just express all the things that you love doing, right? And that's pretty cool. That's step one. What's step two?
Step two is, how do you truly believe that you can do this? So getting that in your body and your brain and thoughts, that you actually can do this, is huge. So how do we get ourselves to believe that?
Yeah.
What are some magical things that we can do to get that locked in and become a part of us, part of our being?
Yeah. I'd like to actually share one thing that really worked for me, because with my story, when I moved to France when I was 13 years old to pursue my dream of becoming a professional soccer player, I struggled with a lot of self-doubt, and I didn't believe in my dream as much as I thought I would. And what I started to do is I started to write down my dream on a piece of paper, and I'd stick it everywhere. I'd stick it on my mirror. I'd stick it, literally, I had an iPad, I remember, and the case in my iPad, I used to, I just took a bit of tape and I taped this little note inside on the case of my iPad. So every single time I'd open it up, I'd see what I'd written down. I'd see my dream. And it just got ingrained in my head. It was just constantly in my head, and I just kept repeating it to myself, this dream of mine. And it really helped me just move forward and get rid of that self-doubt. Plus I had to do a lot of other things, but this was one of the steps that I could take and that I did take that helped me get there. And I really recommend anyone doing that. If you have a dream in mind, just write it down and stick it everywhere, right? Immerse
Even in the
yourself in this
bathroom.
dream. Even in the
In
bathroom.
the bathroom. You
In front of the toilet.
You gotta go there, so you'll see it.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you spend like a really long time in the bathroom scrolling on TikTok, another thing that you can do is, just, put your dream there in front of you. And instead of scrolling on TikTok, you could read your dream.
And number 3 is to take action. Make a plan and take action. And that sometimes sounds huge, but if we take that and we make it bit by bit by bit, it's not so big.
Yeah.
You can achieve it. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how you did that with soccer or whatever you think would help teens right now to start to take that plan of action.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it. It's to start really small, right? What's the one thing that you can do today that is going to move you forward, right? What's the one thing? And it can be super small. It could be the smallest thing ever, right? It could literally just be cleaning your room to give you a clean space, right? Or it could be going to get some material or something that you need that is going to help you move forward with your dream. It could be anything, right? But what is that one thing that you can do today, right now even possibly, that is going to help you get a step forward and take you a step forward towards that dream? It's good to have an idea of the different steps and the milestones that you need to come across to get to that big dream of yours. But it's even more important to know what that next step is, because that's what's going to take you further, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we do a lot as human beings just in general is we get caught up in this big idea and we keep on dreaming in our heads, but we're not doing anything, right? So just what is that next step? Because if you're able to get 1% better every single day, imagine how much progress that is.
So can you give an example of that? Like, let's say with your soccer. Right now, let's just say that right now you're going towards your dreams. You're 21 years old, and right now you are a semi-pro soccer player living in France, from Canada, living in France.
Yeah.
Where did it start? You mentioned 13. You had this dream at age 13. What was your tiny step or steps?
So let's say if I go back to when I've wanted to make this big move, right? And that was when I was 12 years old. And the first step was doing exactly what we're doing right now. It was identifying what it is that I wanted. And I just wrote that down. That was the first step for me, because once I wrote it down on paper, then I was like, okay, it almost became real, right? I could see it. I could visually see it. I had put it out into the world. And then from there, I knew that the next step was, okay, because I wrote down, and I'll tell you exactly what I wrote down. I said that I wanted to move to Europe to play soccer. That was my first thing. That was the dream that I had at that time. And that's what I wrote down. It's a big dream. Yeah. It was a big dream. And it almost seemed impossible for a kid who, is living in Canada, who's 12 years old, who doesn't have any contacts, in Europe, in the soccer world or anything like that, who wasn't being scouted or anything. So it was quite a big dream. And then from then I was like, okay, but then how do I do this? So then the next step for me was I had to do research. So then I put time aside to start researching how the soccer system worked in France and in other countries in Europe, right? And to just start slowly, piece by piece, working towards it. And in the beginning, it could be something that maybe you're not actually doing something big that's going to take you far, but you're doing something that's really small that is giving you new knowledge or new understanding on what your dream is and how to get there. And you have no idea how far that can take you.
Yeah, good advice. Okay. So we've got 3 things. Number 1, identify what your dreams are. Dream, brainstorm, go ahead and throw it together, figure out, start with one big dream. What is it going to be? Yeah. It could be, it could be a dream that's a year from now, right? It doesn't have to be a career dream or a life dream, like, oh, someday I'm going to be this. It can be a year from now. It could be 3 years from now. It could be 5, 10, doesn't matter. This works for everything. So you might have a dream for a year from now. I want to do this. Okay. That's a dream. Now, how are you going to get there? How are you going to believe that that actually is going to happen? It can happen. You gave that. Write it down. Put it everywhere. In the bathroom. Everywhere. And number 3 is to start with baby steps. What's the first thing I can do to get me closer? And like you said, it could be research. It could be taking a lesson. It could be, I mean, who knows? Start small and just step by step, and you will get there. So.
Yeah. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know exactly how everything is supposed to play out. But as long as you know what that dream is and you know what the next step is, then you're on the right path. Because you're figuring it out as you go. The one thing we do have control over is right now. It is what we do right now. It is that next step. It is that one step that we need to take. We have control over that because we can see it. So find out what that step is and take it. And they always say that the first step is the hardest one to take. But once you take that first step, then you're better off than everyone else because most people don't even take that step. So just take that step.
Life isn't this like this. Life is kind of this. And you're going to hit stumbling blocks and everything to get towards your dream. But if you focus on that, that's what I want, you'll work it out. You'll work it out and you'll live the life that you want. Not somebody else and not what you should live.
Yeah.
Not what everybody tells you the shoulds. Get rid of the shoulds.
Yeah.
This is what you want because that's what life is. It's your life. It's nobody else's. It's not your parents' life. It's not your friend's life. Nobody's life but yours. Any questions? Put in the comments. Reach out to us. It's all there.
All right, guys.
Nice.
Take care. Hope this
Take
helped.
care.
Bye.
Bye.